It is my special privilege to introduce you to our keynote speaker. The last few years, we've had multiple keynotes from outside of the state of Utah. And as we were having our board retreat and talking about keynote options, we thought, we have so many great artists and art educators here. I don't think we need to go outside of the state. Let's look within our own state. And as we were brainstorming, a name rose to the top, and that is Michael Bingham. Michael Bingham is a fabulous artist. He's been a working artist. He's worked for Hallmark. He's been an illustrator. Some of you, if you've seen an astronaut on a pole in Salt Lake City, that's some of Michael's work. You'll recognize some of his pieces. But Michael also has been an art educator in Cache County for years. And like I said earlier in the business meeting, Michael's founded an organization called Jump the Moon. It's an art studio where people with all abilities can come and make art. He's going to tell you more about that. As we've been preparing for Michael's keynote, I'm more excited about this keynote than I've been about a keynote in a long time. I think you're going to find that Michael has truly embraced our LEAP theme, loving experimentation, abandoning perfection. I know that we all, the process is such an important part. So he's going to do a little bit of a fun, hands-on, interactive, experimental keynote presentation. He is going to need some volunteers, and I'll let him tell you more about that. But let's give Michael our full support. Let's give Michael a big hand and welcome him to our stage. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to take this off of here because I like to move around a little bit. Hopefully. Ooh. Thanks, Anna. I appreciate that. And as I was just in the lunch area there looking around the room, I thought, wow, I have a lot of friends here. This feels too formal, doesn't it? Hold on. Get rid of that. Okay. As I was looking around the room, just thinking, and seeing all your beautiful faces, thinking, I wish I could see you now, but I know them. We did this together. I took their workshop. They taught me this. I just really appreciate this group. And my very first slide in my formal kind of like a PowerPoint presentation is that one. It's thank you for being my friends, for being there to show me the way when I started teaching art. I don't know how long ago that was, 14 years ago or so. It was many of you in this room that really helped me figure that out. And recently, I know a lot of you have offered happy thoughts and prayers of faith and hope on my behalf, and I just want you to know they worked. And I'm here today because of all of your good thoughts and faith. And so I just want to thank you all and let you know that I love you and I appreciate you. And from there on, I think I have a clicker here, which we probably should have tested. Let's see. Point it up here.
Yeah. Let me see if it's on.
Turning it on. All of that sometimes is the key. All right. I'm very technologically challenged. I'll just say, technology hates me, and I don't know why. I've been a pretty nice guy. I don't know why technology hates me so bad, but we'll get it going. Let me just tell you where I was headed with this. So I got the invitation to come and do this, which I was very flattered, very honored that the group would think of me. as somebody that could handle something like this. And my first thought was, oh, I don't want to mess that up. Like, this is important. And I've been touched by so many of the presentations that have been made in this room and in the high school and in St. George. I really felt a lot of pressure. It's like, I don't want to mess this up. I have 1 hour and I want to really provide something that is going to be useful and helpful as you go back into your classroom, as you go back to your life, something that you can take with you. And so Anna needed a title, and kind of off the top of my head back then, I said, well, I feel art teachers, art educators, are some of the most important people on the planet that will actually be involved in saving us from all of the terrible things that are going on, all the problems that are out in the world. It'll be the art educators and the students that you're teaching and training that are going to solve those problems. I'm completely convinced of that. So anyway, I came up with this title, that the role of the art educator in a world gone bananas. And maybe I'm old school calling something bananas. Does anybody still use that? Anybody? I can't see your hands, but it used to be a fairly common, thing. Anyway, a world gone bananas. And I went to work planning this very carefully thought out kind of, here's what I'll say next, here's what I'll say next. Well, I didn't tell you, I got up this morning and I couldn't get my app to work, but I got it to work, and anywhere, somewhere in there, I was reminded about the theme, which hadn't completely left my mind, but I had kind of gotten away from the theme, which is loving experimentation and abandoning perfection. And I lit up this morning. I'm like, my presentation is not experimental. I've got this slide, this PowerPoint thing. I know exactly what I'm going to say. There's no experimenting in that. And so I pretty much deleted my presentation. I kept a few things right at the beginning just to get us rolling. But you and I are going to experience this presentation for the first time together. Okay? And I felt like collaboration is something that is very needed in the world. I'm going to step on that. I'm going to trip. And so I have a collaborator. Up in the booth up there is Katie and Emily. And they didn't know it when they got up this morning, but they are going to put together a keynote presentation. And I turned the assignment over to them. And they've been working the last hour or so to put together my keynote presentation. So at some point when I start clicking on this thing again, I don't know what's coming next. I sent a bunch of picked a bunch of random images, and I sent them to them, and I said, put these wherever you want, and I'll click on it, and we'll let it take us somewhere. So this truly is an experiment. The other thing I want to ask of you as we do this, typically, I've been in a lot of these, and I sit with my notepad, and I take notes, and I learn, and I focus. I would like to try something a little different. We are all pretty much a group of friends here. And if you're out to eat with a group of friends at a restaurant or something, you don't just sit quietly. If you have an idea, or if you have a comment, or you object to something, you speak up and you say that. So if you have a thought come to your mind and you think, boy, I wish I could voice this, yell it out, whatever. Like, you can't interrupt me because I don't have a plan. You guys contribute as well. So this is a collaboration between me, Katie and Emily up there. I'm anxious to see what they've got for us, and you. Okay, will that be all right? Okay. We are going to start though, because I actually did print up some thing, and I had a little plan, and I think we're going to start with it because I think we can learn something interesting from it. So here's where I was going to just get 3 volunteers. Can we get the lights up a bit? And instead of just getting volunteers, we're going to let Destiny find our volunteers for us, okay? We're gonna see what the universe has to offer here. So if you can stand, then stand at the appropriate time. But if you have ever had a really difficult challenge in your life that you've had to face, like a really serious challenge you've had to face in your life, please stand up. All right. This is interesting because I don't know, I'm relating to all of you that are standing and the ones that are still sitting. I don't know if I'm wishing I was you or, how that works. But that's okay. This gives us a start. So if you are the type of person that hates people, and that is out to destroy everything and really makes you happiest when you make people miserable and sad and maybe even cry, then I'm not sure how you got in here or why you're here, but you're not going to enjoy this group. It's like that, you might want to leave if that was you. So, anybody leaving? Are you going to leave? No. Okay. Okay, so everybody's still here, right? Brianna, this is my daughter Brianna down here, and my wife Susie. She's still sitting down. I'm her dad. You have had some difficult challenges in your life. Why are you still sitting there? There we go. Do I need to remind this whole group about some of those? No, okay. All right. Anybody else that really has had a difficult challenge in life but is still sitting down, you might get picked on. So if you're thinking, I'm going to play it safe, I'm just going to sit here. Oh, look, a few more people are coming up. Okay, I like that. All right, cool. Okay, let's weed out the group a little bit because we almost have everybody. Let's see, let's find some interesting things. What can we do here? See, this is not perfect, is it? This is going to be not perfect. Okay, I'm assuming all of you are art educators. If you have made up a lesson on the way to school, like a whole assignment idea on the way to school, then stay standing. If you've never done that, oh, and it took a few more. So if you're not an art educator, go ahead and sit down. If you're not an art educator, because I lost Susie and Brianna there. Okay, oh, a lot of you have made up lessons on the way to school? Me too, all the time. Okay, great. Okay, we got to weed this out. If you are wearing any kind of colorful socks, then stay standing. What? Where'd you go? I might have to have everybody stand back up again. How many Okay, like, do you see these socks? I got Van Gogh's Starry Night on today.
I have those same socks.
Who does?
I love those socks.
Oh, you have some? I first...
Bob Ross socks today.
What? Did you hear that? In my suitcase back in the hotel room, I had 2 pair of socks I was debating. Did you see what the other one was? Bob Ross socks. Oh man. Okay, you're one of my volunteers. You come up here. Okay. You have Mona Lisa? Oh, you're the other one. Okay. If you don't believe this, and honestly, if you don't believe this, I think I brought 4 pair of socks. Not sure which ones I would wear. I have the Vincent van Gogh Starry Night. I have Vincent van Gogh portrait socks. I have Bob Ross socks, and I have the Mona Lisa. Right? Did you see those? I wish I had a witness. You'll have to just trust me on this. So there's my other volunteer. Let's see. How many we got left? If your name starts with an, oh, what do you have? You have both of those too? Which ones? This screen? You're my other volunteer. This is, okay. Yeah, come on up here. Come on up here, you guys. We're going to need these little boards. Yeah, just wheel these boards up here a bit. Actually, let's bring them up to the front. Bring them clear up here a little bit.
Then they can't see.
Oh, then they can't see. Sorry, leave them back there. Okay. Okay, here's my group. Let's see. Come over here. You need to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you teach.
Hi, I'm Audrey Reeves, and I teach at UVU, and I am president-elect.
What? Oh, good job.
I'm Ryan Moffett. I teach at Murray High School.
Nice to meet you too.
Bob Smith, arts coach, Alpine School District.
Arts coach. Arts coach. I like that. Why didn't I ever think of that? Arts coach. Okay. Here's what you guys are going to do, and I'm going to keep kind of talking to the group. Here's your test. I'm giving you a test. Don't you love that word? It's an assessment. No, it's not an assessment. This isn't really a test. I'm so afraid of tests, it's not even funny. Like testing anxiety. Does anybody else have that in here? Yeah, quite a few hands. It really upsets me. All right, here, let's get going here. There, and there should be a dry erase marker. You guys are just going to take a minute and respond to these questions somewhere on these whiteboards, okay? And while you're doing that, I'm going to come back to this group. Speaking of the testing anxiety, I saw a lot of hands there. How do we do that? No, we'd be proud of it. How many of you have some sort of, I don't like the word disability. It's way too negative. So I use diverse ability. It's very positive, right? How many of you have some sort of a diverse ability that the rest of the world would consider a learning disability? If you want to raise your hand. Oh, quite a few hands too. Where I really found my place in the world, it was mentioned that I worked at Hallmark Cards. I was an artist there for 12 years, and there were 400 artists in our studio. And over the 12 years, as I got to know these 400 artists, there almost wasn't an artist there that didn't have some sort of a learning disability. ADHD, dyslexia, all kind, just on and on. Everybody said kind of the same thing. It's like, man, I don't know how they graduated me. And this applies for me too. I don't know how they graduated me. I've never passed a math class in my life. But here I am, they graduated me, and life is turning out just fine. But it got me thinking that, gosh, if you don't have some sort of a learning disability, like, how are you creative enough to be an artist? You know, and I'm not saying that that's the only way. So those of you that don't have any sort of challenge that way, congratulations. But it happens a lot in the art world, is what I'm trying to say, is that people with some challenges fitting into regular education and regular society often have challenges. And I'm hoping that our art rooms are very welcoming places for those people that are feeling like they just don't quite fit in, like there's not a place for them. Or worse, when I got out of my schooling in high school, I came out of school pretty much feeling like I'm stupid. I must be stupid. I can't hardly spell to save my life. If you were to give me point a gun to my head and say, do this division problem, how many times have I tried to learn how to do division and I still couldn't? You'd have to just shoot me. I don't know, something about numbers and whatever. there's a real empty spot in my brain for that sort of stuff. But oh my gosh, there is a VIP among us. Do you know what VIP stand for? Very interesting person. Cowboy, stand up here. Okay. Cowboy, you've walked in on a very organized presentation, which you're kind of interrupting, but it's okay. I can't help but stop and recognize you. And thank you for the service you provide for all of these people. I'm not teaching anymore in a regular school. I have this nonprofit, but I still get my supplies, my needed stuff from the Artist Corner, from this guy. What are you doing, sitting down? Do you want to, would you like to come, like, finish the,
What are we doing?
You only got like 45 minutes to go.
Okay, what are we doing?
Well, I don't know. Actually, we're making some lists, we're doing some stuff. Actually, I'll take it from here. You don't have to do that. But
I'm good.
But thanks for coming in.
I want to learn.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, have a seat. All right. What was I saying? Susie, what was I saying? That I'm crazy? Okay. If at some point my wife Suzanne, well, never mind. I'm going to try to edit a little bit before it just comes out. She's an incredibly wonderful person, and we've been married 37 years, going on 38 years, 7 children, including the beautiful Brianna that's here, and I couldn't ask for a better life partner, and one who balances me really well. She will tell you I'm the dreamer, and she is she said anchor, but she's the realist. She's the one that says, I'm the kite and she holds the string. So that's how it works. And it's been a great relationship because hard to believe, but every once in a while I come up with an idea that may be silly or crazy. And when she confirms that idea is really stupid, really crazy, I actually know that I'm onto something pretty cool. Do you know how that works? How's our group going back here? Oh, you're just waiting for me, huh? Your brain, inside your brain, there's a little file cabinet, and your logic, which most people, maybe not in this room, but most other people in the world, their logic has taken over the whole running of everything. And if they experience something that they can't easily file away into that filing cabinet and say, okay, I've seen that before. Okay, I'm familiar with that. That's a very comfortable place for people who live in their logic. If they say to you, that is weird, that is stupid, that is bizarre, that is crazy, that is just so absurd, those are all words that mean, I don't know where to file this, because what I'm seeing and experiencing is something new, different, unusual, out of the ordinary, something that is innovative. Isn't that where we want our students to be? Like coming up with innovative, new, creative stuff. And yet everybody's ashamed if somebody says that's weird. Like, okay, I'm done. It's like, I know from my high school students how it is. There's the expectation to be accepted and to be part of the gang is huge. What a powerful force at that age. So you may go back into your classrooms and just let them know to be grateful and to look for other people telling them their ideas are stupid or dumb. Now, I tell them if the idea is going to get you hurt, like physically hurt, then don't do that one. But if it's just a crazy idea that nobody's ever heard of before, you have struck gold. You are onto something amazing, and keep it going. Every amazing invention or creation in the world, at one point, somebody told that person it was stupid, or crazy, or that's bizarre. It's like, imagine, the Wright brothers, we're going to fly. Yeah, the birds, we've been watching the birds, we're going to fly. How many people went, you are idiots. Like, how weird are you? It's like, But look, my wife's a flight attendant now, which means I get to fly a lot too. It's the coolest thing. You're sitting in a chair 30,000 feet in the air, going 500 miles an hour. And I'm always looking around amazed at how many people on the plane don't seem to realize that that's happening to them. Like they're reading a book, they're on their phone. Like I'm glued to the window. I'm like, this is so cool. What was I talking about? Okay, let's finish. Oh, hi guys. Let's see what we got. I think I need, let's push these over to the side a little bit. I think I'm going to need my image again, which I already lost the, now I need to be able to read them though. Okay. What are the other, turquoise, purple, and green? Who's the purple?
Oh, me.
Who?
Oh, we're both purple. Sorry. The green didn't work very good.
No, your favorite color.
Oh, green is me. Oh, he's purple.
Okay, the first question was what's your favorite color? And what are two important numbers in your life? Do you guys all have numbers that are important in your life? Mine are 3, 7, 12, and 34. And there's some others. 13 shows up once in a while, but those numbers seem to repeat. And I don't know why, but I've started noticing them and they come up. Does anybody have any of those numbers? We got a 3, we got a 7. Numbers over here. What is that? 77?
Pi.
Oh, pi. Somebody explain that to me. Is that a number? Okay. And 21 and 11. Okay, so we got a couple of my numbers. You can tell from the background on my slide, my favorite color is purple as well. Do you know purple is the most common favorite color among creative people? Did you know that? So I'm proud to say that my favorite color is purple as well. Let's see what else we got. I might have to read my own questions. Did you guys find bananas on your own? Did you all do a banana? Okay. Whose is this one? Okay, let me show you a difference here. This bag is full of bananas and some stuff I bought this morning at the thrift store thinking we might need it. I'm glad you thought to look for the bananas. Thank you. But this actually illustrates something kind of interesting. One of these is opened at the stem or the top. How many of you open your banana that way? Raise them high. Like how many? Okay, that looks like a majority, right? Who did the banana upside down? That's you? He opened it the other end. How many of you do that? Actually, quite a few, but not nearly as many. How do you know to do that?
That's the one monkey taught us.
Did you hear that? That's how monkeys do it. This was only pointed out to me recently. And was it you that pointed that out to me? And I said to Suzanne, I thought you loved me. It's like, you've just changed my life. If you have never tried to open a banana at the bottom, if you guys want to go sit down, I might refer to some of this, but give these guys a hand. They're very brave. There's a very fine line between brave and stupid. And what's that? I'm going to refer to these, and we're going to take these. These will take us on a little journey too. Is that what you said?
I said we didn't get to see their socks.
Oh, their socks. Oh, come back up. We didn't have a sock show and tell. Here we go. Bob Ross. Let me ask you a question too. When you are wearing these socks sometimes, does something related to Bob Ross happen to you that day?
Quite often.
Quite often. Me too. Like an amazing often. Let's see the socks. Okay, it's the Scream. I have a pair of these, and now this is where we might be different. I've only worn mine about twice, when I am just so not happy, like so full of that I put on my scream socks. And I don't get that way very often.
Sometimes they're hard to get on.
But I look at them and I'm like, okay, I'm way too happy to wear those today. Are you kind of a happy guy, or are you kind of like the socks?
Both.
A little of both? Okay, that's all right. And which ones did you have?
Mona Lisa.
Oh, I have. Those are the same as in my suitcase. Yeah.
You brought them?
Yeah, I have them here. I brought like 4 pair, and I brought those too. And I didn't know which ones to wear this morning. Okay, now you can sit down. Unless there's any other questions for these guys. Are we good? Okay. Thank you. I don't remember what was next on here. I'm going to just tell you what I was going to do. Do I point up there? Here we go. I was going to tell you about a dream I had involving monkeys and me trying to teach them art in the jungle, and leaving a big box of crayons there and realizing I had no paper. So I ran back wherever, and when I came back, most of the monkeys were dead because they had eaten all the crayons. And I felt so bad, and I knew exactly why in my dream. Like, of course, if you eat crayons, it blocks your stomach lining from absorbing nutrients, and you're going to die. And so I was going to tell you about this. I had a lot of interesting things happen when I first started teaching, and this was maybe the first week I was teaching. It was early on, and I went to school the next day, and I'm doing my thing and thinking I'm being a good teacher, and I look over, and there is a student eating a crayon. Has anybody, have you ever had that happen? Am I the only one? I look at this student. The night before, I had a dream that I killed monkeys by letting them eat crayons, and I've got a student in front of me. Now, how does that work? Like, how do you dream something before it happens? I still am like, there's something going on in this universe that we don't quite understand. Anyway, I remember like, no, don't eat the crayon, you'll die. You know, it'll block your stomach from absorbing nutrients. And the class is like, what? Mr. Bingham is crazy. All right, I was going to tell you that story, but I'm not going to tell that to you now. So I was going to talk to you about glitter, how I used to, it would show up in my classroom once in a while. And I told the students, I probably shouldn't have told them this part because I don't know, they probably know what it is. I said, don't bring that into this room. That is the herpes of the art world. Like, you get glitter and it'll never go away. It'll be here, 100 years from now, there'll be glitter in this room. No glitter in this room. And so I was going to tell you about how a recent event in my life changed my thinking on some things. I'm currently working on, almost finished with, my master's degree in painting and drawing at Utah State University. And guess what I have used a lot of in my master's work? Glitter. So I'm not going to tell you that story either. You wore your Bob Ross socks today? Here he is. This was another thing. My students always, have any of you ever had students who come up to you and say, oh, will you teach us how to paint like Bob Ross? Raise your hand if that's ever, you have students? Oh, like a lot, right? Every semester, like every class, somebody's like, oh, B-Dog, which I kind of like that name. Some of my students call me B-Dog instead of Mr. Bingham, and that was okay with me. Will you teach us how to paint like Bob Ross? And my reaction was always the same, like, no! Bob Ross is not a real artist, okay? He's a recipe artist. He gives you a recipe, and you do this thing, and all of a sudden, ooh, there's a magic tree, and ooh, there's a magic cloud. And I'm going to teach you how to be real artists. Like, I went to a very expensive art school. I had some amazing art teacher mentors, and I'm going to teach you how to be real artists. Don't mention Bob Ross in my classroom. It's like, that's a bad word. And it was that way for many, many years. And I just thought, this is horrible. Like, all of these people are following. Actually, people that watch Bob Ross, only a very small percent of them actually paint along with him. This is like 2% are actually doing a painting. And anyway, there's some things. Well, let me show you what happened. From my hatred of Bob Ross, I turned into Bob Ross. Like, I had a little event in my life that made me rethink a bunch of stuff. And I've rethought glitter, and I've rethought Bob Ross. And what I realized was that we actually had a lot more in common than I suspected. Bob Ross talked to everybody. He talked to the camera as if he was just talking to one single student. And if you watch his presentations, you pick up on that. And not only that, but he sincerely loved this one single student. It's like, I love you, and I'm going to give you what I know about how to make a painting. He didn't go to expensive art school. He found a guy named Bill Alexander while watching a TV, I think in a bar. There was a PBS show, Bill Alexander. He thought, I want to learn how to do that. He went and found Bill Alexander and became his apprentice. And when Bill Alexander quit doing his PBS show, Bob Ross took over, and that's how he got his TV show. He loved people, and he wanted to spend his life bringing people joy. That's it. He's like, I found that art can bring people joy if they make something that they made themselves and they created with their own hands. And I want a lot of people to have that joy. And how many millions of people know about Bob Ross or wearing his socks? You know, he's long gone. He died on the day before Halloween. It's a number thing, so the number's gone of the year. 1970 something. I can't remember, but the date. But so since he died the day before Halloween, I dressed up like Bob Ross the day before Halloween. I've been teaching a painting class at Utah State University. I taught the entire class as Bob Ross in character, and told them that, you know, Michael had to be gone, and that Bob was the substitute. And then I spent Halloween as Bob Ross. I slept with the wig on, my wife. It looks really... No, it gets worse. You should see a Bob Ross wig with a CPAP machine. Like, that's a picture. Okay, now I can't get that picture out of my head, sorry. I wanted to be Bob Ross once I realized that his purpose in life was to bring people joy. And then the day after Halloween, we did 3 days of Bob Ross. My wife's shaking her head. It's like, now you've gone too far. But he's become somebody important, and I wanted to share him. And this is kind of where I went after this. Here's what happened. I guess I've referred to it a couple times. Let me show you what happened. Do I click again, or how do we get there? I need help in my booth. Katie's up there helping me. All right. If I knew an interpretive dance for this, I'd do it. Katie, did it disappear?
Needed and outdated opioid prescriptions or any medication.
Oh, we get to watch a commercial too. That's good though. We can use it. What's it about?
You might have seen his sculpture, a cow wearing and jetpack in downtown Salt Lake City. But artist Michael Bingham's real mission isn't making cattle fly. It's helping people with disabilities make art.
Yeah, Bingham says he got a little bit of help pursuing that mission the day he stopped breathing. Photojournalist Peter Rosen explains.
Aimed after the cow with a jetpack, to design tools to help everyone make art.
Get you in it. Good.
Then a few weeks ago, Bingham has trouble remembering exactly when,
March 7th.
The story changed dramatically when this happened.
I stopped breathing when I fell.
While painting his living room, Bingham fell off a ladder onto his head.
I thought maybe he died after he hit the floor, but he didn't.
I had to get life flighted down to McCady. Fractured my skull, I broke my neck, broke several ribs. 2.5 weeks in intensive care. I was in a lot of pain.
You might call it misfortune, but not Michael Bingham. He calls it
an answer to a prayer. I asked God to help me better understand on a much higher level what people with disabilities went through.
Where did it go?
Learning to walk again and learning to re-swallow and talk again. Here you go. Here's the answer to your prayer. Hi, guys.
A few weeks after the accident, Bingham is back in the studio with a new understanding of people.
He's sad now, and I know what you went through.
I can see a few things over here.
Like Linda Loosely, a fall left her.
It left me quadriplegic.
Unable to control her body.
When I talk, my hands want to dance.
But still able to laugh about it.
You ready? Okay.
Now helping Kea to paint.
Here we go. The power chair was her strength.
With a power chair.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Meant that much more. Here everyone, including Kea, can end up in a gallery.
I don't see differences. I look for the sameness.
I just love spring.
Bingham is lucky he's expected to recover.
He's instilled in us that whatever challenge comes our way, just find new avenues to get around it, use it as a strength.
There is pain, but he says,
I'm grateful to know
he's grateful for it.
What unbearable pain feels like, as strange as that sounds. Living the dream, I'm living the dream. Almost died and now I'm going to be okay, so.
When she paints a usually happy Kea,
she's now giggling.
Is delighted.
Art has brought him such joy. And when he saw that same joy, that just was like, that's my mission.
Are you having fun?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Bingham, Kea Eccles is already over the moon.
Yeah.
Peter Rosen, KSL 5 News.
Peter, thank you. Tilt the Moon has an art studio and gallery.
Thank you. So that was the little thing that happened to me not even a year ago. March 7th, we're coming up on a year for that. And okay, I'm holding it together, right? I get too emotional and anyway, that was the little thing that happened to me. And I'm grateful to be alive and grateful to wake up every morning and get another chance. And so, where to go from here? You know what? There's another video. Thanks. We're gonna skip that second video. I want to get to the images you found. Now, impromptuing this a little bit, I went just for a minute into the Share Fair, and Lisa Saunderson was in there with this amazing thing. If you saw the movie called, what was it called again? Hidden Figures. If you've never seen the movie Hidden Figures, you need to watch that. It's about NASA and the women behind the math and that made it possible, who were completely unrecognized for too long. And Lisa, being a brilliant art educator, I'm so honored to call her my friend, took that film, which I guess is a book, I hadn't seen the book, and made an art assignment out of it. And it's brilliant. And she even gave me some of the stuff she was using there, which I'll turn into something. But this really made me want to share this with you and say, look around you, be very observant. An artist is very observant. And everything you look at, kind of look at it and go, okay, could I make an art assignment out of that? And it can be the strangest, most bizarre. In fact, remember what I said? The more weird it is, your first response, that means your brain even hasn't thought of this brand new idea before. And pursue that and come up with some really great art assignments. Now, from here on, I think, is it up to you now, Katie? Okay, I don't know what's next. Oh yeah, there we go. I know this image because I had a student in my class named Renee, and I loved, what I do now is I work with people with disabilities all the time. And I don't like the word disabilities, I think I mentioned that, diverse abilities. Renee is a beautiful artist. He didn't draw this one, but he probably could have. But I discovered in him that he had a photographic memory. And I started finding pictures. And this was one of them. And I showed this to my AP art class that Renee was in. And I said, okay, you get to look at this for 20 seconds. And then it's going to be gone. And so there it's gone. Now, if you had to draw that image, most of you could probably do a pretty good job of drawing a toad on somebody's head. When Renee drew it, he included a single button, a bow tie, or whatever. And actually, Renee, I give him 20 seconds to look at an image, and he'd look at it for 5 seconds and then go do something else. And I'd be like, Renee, you got 20 seconds. He's like, I don't need it. He had a photographic memory where he could just recall it. And we played with that with the whole class, and it made him a superstar. Renee didn't really like to communicate much or be around, there was some issues there, but it really gave him a superpower that the others didn't have. Okay, what was next? Okay, next. There's a bunch of these. So, and how are we doing on time? We got like 20 minutes still?
25.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, let's take a challenge. This kind of reminds me, if you could make an assignment out of this, is where I'm thinking. It's like, what kind of an assignment could I make out of that? And this would actually be a really fun photo that any high school student or middle school or even grade school kids could set up. This is not an expensive prop, and it's very unusual, is it not? Like, that's a very unusual image. And when you're trying to make artwork that is innovative and different, that's one of the keys. I often tried to teach my students to shoot their photos. I said, let's shoot like a pro from now on, so that when you go, it used to be Sam's Club got rid of their photo thing, but you'd go to the photo place, and they got to know me, but at first I'd go get my pictures to pick them up, and they'd say, oh, we can't let you have these. They were shot by a professional, and you're going to need permission from the professional that shot them in order to, and I'd say, no, I am a professional, that's my work. So I kind of broke it down into a couple things, and I said to my students, try this out. If you'll do these things, then they'll tell you you can't have your own pictures because they were obviously shot by a professional. That's a really cool feeling. So one of them was never put your focal point in the middle, which this one is not. See how it's shifted? Change your perspective. This one doesn't really change perspective, but if you shoot high or low, like bird's eye or worm's eye, you're going to get something different. Get closer than you feel comfortable being to your subject is one. But one of them was create an absurd situation or image. Just make something that is very unexpected. So that's what this makes me think of. This is one of a very old sculpture. That thing now is about 15 feet tall. Here it was about 9 feet, I think. I've built sculptures off and on, including a cow with a jetpack that was referred to in that video, that was in Salt Lake for a lot of years, a big giant astronaut, which now hangs in my studio in Logan. I did a whole series of these, I called them bird temples. I wanted to take the idea of a birdhouse and just kind of go crazy with it. And this one makes for an excellent assignment. So I'm going to share an assignment idea here. I decided, what if a bird could build their own elaborate house? How would they go about that? They would go out and they would see what they could find. They would pick it up and they'd come back and they would weave it into their nest or whatever. And so this piece was pretty much entirely found, or by me going to garage sales, thrift stores, wandering around and looking in dumpsters and just seeing what I could find and then bringing it back. And it didn't stop here. This was the start of it, and I sold it when it was about 15 feet tall. And my concept was, and I shared this concept with my students on many things. Imagine if that artwork kept being added to, and in the future, what would it look like? And my image was that I was building a cathedral. But instead of starting at the foundation, I was building it from the top down. And everything had to be jacked up and the next layer had to be added to it. But in my mind, I'm building a cathedral. All right. Eating the crayons. There's other things you can do with crayons. And I've never tried this, but the jumbo crayons, I'm going to try it now. We'll carve something into those. Does anybody use that as an assignment? Just yell it out. I can't see you anymore. The lights are back on. No? Those crayons? Let's carve something into them. By the way, what's that?
I said Brad has.
Brad, you carve things out of crayons? Wait a minute. I forgot to turn off my phone.
Hi, John.
Hold on. I don't know who this is. Hello? Yeah. Can I put you on speaker? What's your name? Oh, wait. I'll have you tell in a minute. Just a minute. Uh-oh. How do I do that? Ah. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
What's your name?
Aaron Carpenter.
Hi, Aaron. Are you okay talking to 300 art teachers along with me?
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah,
Can you hear her? There we go. Yeah, I'm right in the middle of a keynote speech down at the Utah Art Educators Conference. And
how neat.
but I didn't want to miss an important call. So
You're fine.
yeah, what can I do for you?
So my daughter and I want to learn how to use your Wacom Cintiq board. Anyway, we kind of want to get into illustrating.
Awesome.
We've been writing a little children's book, and anyway, wanted to know if and when, what time your hours are, so we could swing on in.
Yeah, you bet. In fact, if you go in, what's today? Friday. If you go in tomorrow, Kenzo, I think, knows some stuff on that Cintiq tablet and could probably get you started on it. But we really need to call Nick. He's a former student, and he knows how to use that thing like a pro, and we'll get you hooked up for him.
Fantastic.
So I'm in St. George right now, and I will. I'll be back on Monday. If we don't connect, come in on Monday evening, and we'll get you going on it. Okay?
All right.
Hey, thanks for the call.
Fun. Hey, y'all have fun. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. No, I'm not sorry about it. This actually takes me to an idea. And I was going to turn off my ringer. I'll turn it off now. This takes me to an idea that I never quite understood when I was in the high school. Technology hates me, but I love it. And I love it because I'm old, and if I wanted to know something back in the old days, I went to the library, I went to the card file, I looked it up, I went to the encyclopedia, we had some of those in our house, and I looked up what I could find in there. The encyclopedias were about 20 years old, so the information wasn't exactly up to date. All of you and your students at this moment are carrying around all of the knowledge in the world. Like all of that information is in your pocket. And I think it should be used in classes. My principal would come in and give me this look like, Mr. Bingham, all your students are on their phone. Like, are you aware of this? And I'd be like, yeah, they are looking up Rembrandt's Night Watchman, and so they can tell us something that we might not have ever known about that painting. Yeah, hang around and see what happens. You know, whatever it was, they could do that. They could bring all of that information. Everybody would pull something different, and all of a sudden the learning is like off the charts. Like, wow, I didn't know that. They're teaching me stuff. And they're so good at finding information. So I think we should be using this technology in our education. How are we not using it up to this point? Maybe it's changed. I haven't been teaching in the high school for a few years, so maybe it's okay now. But it was like one of the big rules, like, no, you can't get out your phone. You're in school to learn. Does that make sense? Anyway, okay. Crayons. Oh, anybody know the artist that did that? No? Who? Who said that? Okay, I love you. Marshall Arisman. He's an illustrator in New York. Some of the most bizarre, interesting work ever created. Marshall Arisman. Hard to show your students without doing some editing first, because every once in a while there's one that's not quite school appropriate. Which, by the way, I learned the hard way to tell students it must be school appropriate. Has anybody else learned that the hard way? Oh, my first year, first time in front of a class. I got into teaching through an alternative route to licensing, and so I didn't do student teaching. And so my first time in front of a class was in front of a class, and they ate me alive. I had no idea. And one of them, Michael, who has a good name, but he would just sit there. And I'd say, here's the assignment, Michael. And he'd just sit there. He'd fold his arm and sit back, and he'd go, I'm not doing it. I'm like, well, this is the class. You'll get a bad grade. He's like, I don't care. I got all bad grades. It's like, I'm not doing that. It's like, oh, well, all right. Well, watch us make art. And this went on for maybe most of a week. Is anybody relating to this? So every day, same thing. Michael sits back and we all make art, and he's not doing it. So I thought, and this is my brilliant, first week of teaching idea. Okay, he's not going to I'm going to win this one. Michael's going to make art today. It's Friday. We have a shorter class time. It's Friday. We're going to call it Freestyle Friday. Like, you guys draw whatever you want today. It's like, and Michael's like, whatever we want? It's like, anything you want to draw. Like, you draw it. And man, Michael, he got the paper, he got the pencils, he got the charcoal. He's like going to town, and I'm sitting back thinking, I am going to be an amazing art teacher. Like, Michael's drawing. Michael is making art. And I'm up at my desk, sitting down, which I learned, I think only part of the first year did I ever sit down when I was in a class. You know, other teachers in the school actually sit down during the day. The art teacher's like a bee. Like, you're around, like, help you, okay, okay, so, but I don't know yet, so I'm sitting at my desk. Michael's up there, and I said, does anybody want to show the class? And he's front row. Anybody want to show the class what you drew? And Michael's hand shot up. I want to show. I'm like, good job, Michael. I'm so proud of you today making art. And I didn't see what the drawing was, but he stood up and showed the class. And the faces. Oh, wah, da. I'm like, what? And I go over and I'm like, let me see. Oh my gosh, Michael should be an anatomy illustrator. He drew the most like photographic accurately male part like ever. It's like it's a beautiful drawing. Oh, Michael can draw. It's like, look at that. And then inside I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Like, this is bad. I don't know what to do. Come on, Michael, we're going to the principal's office. And the principal was out, but the assistant principal, Cherie, remember Cherie? Oh my gosh. I don't know. She was a little scary. But me and Michael went in there and I said, Assistant Principal Cherie, Michael made a drawing in my class and I'm not sure how to handle it. And I put it on her desk and she said, that's pretty accurate. That's not a bad drawing. But let me talk to Michael. You go back and run your class and we'll have a little chat about it. And I don't know what she told him, but he actually started drawing after that. He didn't get expelled or anything. And I should have asked her what she said to him. How do we get talking about that? Oh, Marshall Erisman. I took this to inspire an assignment, which I highly recommend. And we're probably getting close to the end of time. So this is one, I don't repeat very many assignments because I get bored too easy. I like there to be a surprise. One assignment I do the very first day of class with a new class of students that I've never met before. We get out all the markers, the crayons, the pastels, everything that I can round up, and it's all on the tables, and there's a big sheet of paper. And I say to them, today we are going to, we'll actually ask for a little survey first. I said, let's see how many artists I have in the room. If you are, on a scale of 1 to 10, completely comfortable making a wonderful drawing that you don't mind everybody seeing, then you're a 10. If you feel like you have no art ability at all and you're not even sure why you're in this class, then you're a 0. Like, rate yourself. Where are you at? And then I go, okay, it's an art class. I expect we'll have some 10s. Raise your hand if you're a 10. And no hands, usually. Okay, is there any 9s? Every once in a while, somebody will rate themselves a 9. And that's the person that their whole education to this point into the high school, everybody's pointed to them and said, they're the artist. Like, they're the crazy artist. We're not artists anymore. We used to be when we were 4, but now we're not artists. That's the crazy person. They're the artist. And they have an image to uphold, so they'll be the 9 or the 8. And then 7s, no, 6, most of them are like a 3 or a 2 or even a 0. It's like, I don't know why I'm here. I cannot make a drawing. My drawings are horrible. And so we kind of established that most of the class feels very insecure about the art that they make. And imagine the stress being a high school student, worried so much about what everybody else thinks of you and whatever you do, and being in art class. Actually making art in front of other people is pretty high up on the list of fears among a lot of people. So here's the way we diffuse that. I say, awesome, this is so cool. I am so glad that so many of you are so comfortable making really bad drawings, like really horrible drawings, because that's exactly what we're going to do for the next 15 minutes. You are going to take that paper, and I want you to fill it. Don't do a tiny little drawing. You're going to fill the paper, and it's going to be a self-portrait. But here's the deal. It's going to be the worst self-portrait anyone ever created. Like, horrible, really bad. Like, your mom will not even hang this one on the fridge. Like, she won't even be able to find something nice to say about it. In fact, when you take this home, I expect that the parents are going to call the school principal and say, whoever the person is you have teaching art, they should be fired. You should see the horrible drawing that my student did in your class. So this is me talking to the students. That's how bad I want the drawing. Now, I had Michael in my class years ago, so the drawing must not be horrible because it's school inappropriate, okay? It's got to be school appropriate, but it needs to be really terrible, really bad, okay? And so go. You have 15 minutes. Oh, one other rule. Once you start drawing, when I say go, then you cannot stop. Like, your hand has to keep moving the whole time. And you've got 15 minutes of your hand moving, making the worst portrait ever on the planet. Go. And they start laughing and giggling, and I go around and I cheerlead and I say, wow, I thought you guys told me you did really horrible art. This is actually pretty nice, so here's what we're going to have to do. I'm going to grade these. The better the drawing is, the more nice it is, the more chance it is have of getting an F. Like, it has to be really bad to get an A. So you may want to do something like to make that thing worse, because it's too nice. And sometimes they're like, well, I said, well, I see you're using your right hand. Shh, don't tell the others, but you might have an unfair advantage if you used your left hand. I told one kid that, and he put the crayon took his shoe off and put the crayon in between his toes, which is another reason why you don't want to eat crayons. And he drew his self-portrait with his feet, and it looked something like that. And then at the end of it, the next day they come in, and these drawings are all posted on the wall, and I am like, these are amazing drawings. Let me show you guys something. And I show them the work of Picasso and some of the other Impressionist drawings, and I show them the work of Marshall Erasmus, and I show them the work of others who are some of the most famous artists in the world, and I say to them, I knew it would happen at some point here. You people in my class are already brilliant. You're just as good as the best artists in the world. You know, that Picasso I'm showing you just sold for $58 million. And look how much it looks like the drawing you just made. And I say, you may have just taken me out of a job, because I'm supposed to teach you how to use expression and variety and balance. And I point out in all the different drawings where they did that already. And isn't it interesting that they did it when they thought they were doing something bad? They made the most interesting drawing and when they thought they were doing the worst. They already know so much. And if you can get them into a place of recognizing that, okay, I've got something inside me to express, and I expressed it when I thought I was doing the worst drawing, what if I now use that style in a bunch of other ways, in a bunch of other art? And every individual in your classes, their drawings will look like they did them. Not like they were, one size fits all, we all learned the same technique and we all did the same painting. They will look like individuals, and their ideas and their expression are validated. And then you just build on that. That's the first 15 minutes of your class. I see that we're, down to just a minute or so, right? Kate, you got one more image for me? You might have to show this one. I don't think I can get it. Kate, did I put you to sleep yet? Kate, use that special microphone up there and say hi to everybody. No, you didn't use there's a microphone, there's a button up there labeled God. Push that button and say something.
Hello.
Don't we need that in our classroom? Anyway, You got that image?
Yep.
Oh, not SpongeBob. I don't know what else you had here for me, but we're out of time. I'm just going to click while you find it. Oh, I had a whole story about that. I'm building a power chair with one of those on it, so when you draw with it, you're face down over the canvas and you can see it's like a detail chair. We got that one already. Are you looking for that image? There it is. I wanted to end on this one, so I asked Kate if she would save that one till the end. Maybe it's not as funny as I thought. I came too close to that. My doctor told me, it's like, I don't know how you're not dead or paralyzed. I broke my neck in 7 places and my C1's in 4 pieces. It's like, see that piece leaning against there? That's your spinal cord. Why are you not paralyzed? I don't know why. There were a lot of miracles. I know I have a second chance, and I know I can be better at getting people to realize that the creative power within them is what's going to save the world. It's imaginations that are going to save this world. And there's no other class in the whole school that focuses on imagination like the art class. That makes your classes the most important class in all of education. And if your principal, that was one of the questions, what would your principal say is the most important class? I see math, I see the arts. Somebody's principal thinks the arts is most important. Theater, maybe? Anyway, most of the world does not know that art is the most important and valuable subject taught in any school, because it's the only one that trains people to use their imagination, and without an imagination, your creative problem-solving abilities are nil. You can't do it. So all those other subjects are important, but ours is the key to tying everything together and turning all of that information into the new solutions that this world needs. So I'm going to end it at that, and I love being with you, and I hope there was some tiny thing in here that might be helpful to you. Thanks for letting me do an experimental talk. Thanks for what you do as well.
Wasn't that fabulous?
Oh, my hat, that's right. Is
So,
it more formal from here on?
So excited to have Michael here. And Michael, thank you for that creative, wonderful, experimental keynote. I was certainly inspired myself. If you want to connect with Michael more, he's teaching 2 additional classes. On your schedule, they're the ones in blue. So from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock today in the Kolob Lecture Hall, which is right by where we had breakfast this morning. It's on the main level, right off the Commons area. He's doing a keynote workshop today, and then also tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on the 2nd floor, room 214, making art out of nothing at all. I also want to thank the Utah Division of Arts and Museums for sponsoring Michael's keynote workshop. So Jean Irwin and Utah Division of Arts and Museums.
Thanks, Jean. Where'd she go? There's Jean.
For supporting us. All right, guys, go enjoy your classes for the rest of the afternoon.
Here, let me say something really quick.
Yeah.
Really quick, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, it's michael@jumpthemoon.org. And I'll have some brochures with me too, but send me an email. I'd be glad to help.